right, let's do this. Okay, so thank you guys for coming. I can't say it enough. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Corey Stern. I'm a learning specialist. I'm a behavior consultant. I'm also the mom of a 6 and a 4-year-old. My daughter is 6. My son is 4. They are incredible, tiny human beings. I love them more than life. I help parents basically optimize their child's growth and development, both at home and school, so parents like you can parent without the day-to-day stress and overwhelm. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 ways that you guys can get your child to listen to you even in the most stressful times. Before we dive in, I do want to hear from you guys, so make sure, I'm going to say it one more time, find the chat box. Pop in some info for me. Tell me how old your kids are, how many you have. You can even tell me what your most challenging behavior is right now that you're dealing with your child, and I will try to provide you guys with as much support as we can, okay? So, as we get going here, my promise to you today, the goal of today's session is for you to learn how to get your child to listen to you without yelling, without bribing, without negotiating, or sounding like a broken record. I totally have those days sometimes, and it just doesn't feel good. Today's session is going to be unique for you guys. I'm going to give you some very, very practical strategies that you literally can use right away. And these strategies are very effective. I use them with my own 2 kids all the time. I've used them with hundreds and hundreds of clients and with a ton of success. So, to make sure you have something to walk away with, I want to make sure you guys have something to take some notes with, pen and paper if you're old school like me, type notes on your phone, whatever the case may be. I just don't want you to forget these things because you're going to want to use them. And we all know how mom brain, baby brain works these days. I swear some days if my head wasn't attached to my shoulders, I probably would lose it. Okay, so as we dive in here, this session is going to be super valuable for you. Again, sorry about my voice. This is going to be valuable for you if you have a toddler a toddler or a preschool age kid who loves a good power struggle. And if you tell me that your child doesn't love a good power struggle at this age and stage, then we have something more to talk about, because every kid at this age and stage loves a good power struggle. This session is going to be valuable for you if you want to create a calm and peaceful home that supports a strong child-parent relationship. And it's going to be the most valuable for you if you are committed to doing your absolute best to raise a fantastic child. And I know you guys all are. So let's dive in. Okay, so here's the reality. And I just want to be transparent with you guys here. We can learn strategies. We can try out different things. We can anticipate how to avoid the power struggles. But at the end of the day, if you don't understand why your child isn't listening to you, and you don't understand why they are behaving the way that they are behaving, you're just not going to be effective. So that's a huge, huge piece of this. The most important variable in being successful in getting your child to listen to you is understanding their fundamental needs at this age and stage of development. We need to make sure that those developmental needs are being met. Now, here's the thing. This isn't an intuitive thing, okay? You're not just supposed to know this stuff. If only our babies, I always say, like, if only our babies came with manuals when they were born that told us exactly what to do every step of the way, we wouldn't necessarily be having this conversation. But unless you dig deep into all the research and literature on child development, this stuff isn't obvious. Okay, so this is where, this is the missing piece for a lot of parents, because it's this information that allows us to guide our practice and allows us to be effective. So some of the challenges you are likely experiencing, and I hope this is going to resonate with you guys, this is a big one, inconsistency. It is so easy to be inconsistent with a toddler or preschooler because their behaviors can escalate really, really quickly. And sometimes, a lot of the times, it gets to the point where you literally will do anything just to make it stop. Does this resonate with you? Like when your kid starts crying and then it's like 10 minutes later and they're still crying because you've told them to stop doing something, or you've asked them to come here, you've told them it's dinner time, or, you're asking them to share their toy with their sibling and they're crying and you try to work through it. And then they're still crying, and then you try to do something else and it doesn't work, and they just want that cookie on the counter and they're still crying, and you become so triggered that you literally just will do anything to make it stop, and you give them the cookie, or you give them the iPad, or you give them whatever the case is. So this is where, this is a very common thing a lot of us deal with at this age and stage, which causes us to be quite inconsistent a lot of the time. So it's I want to say it's way too easy to give up on the strategy of being consistent and on any strategy, because something might work one day, but it doesn't work the next day. And then, you go on to the next and the next. And I actually hear this from parents all the time. They've tried so many things and nothing works. I've tried 12 different things and nothing is working. So that is my point exactly. You can't give up on a strategy and move on to the next after trying it once or twice or 3 times. Why? Because behavior is a learned thing. Kids need to learn. They need to understand the expectations. And, at this age and stage, it takes time for kids to learn the contingencies here. It takes time for them to learn the expectations, and there is a learning curve. So if you're flip-flopping between strategies because you just want to try anything and everything to make it work, you need to know that you are doing a disservice here, and you're actually reinforcing a lot of these challenging behaviors. Okay, so I always ask parents, what are we actually teaching them when we're flip-flopping between trying a million different things and nothing seems to be working, right? So what are we actually teaching them? So when you are being inconsistent, we're ultimately sending mixed messages to the child at that point in time when you're trying to manage. And then we have to really understand who's controlling whose behavior. Because at the end of the day, and this is where a lot of my clients have this aha moment, they realize that all this inconsistency gives the child a lot of control of the environment and of the situation, and then they end up controlling our behavior because we're the ones that we keep flip-flopping back and forth to try to make things work. So it becomes a whole dynamic that we have to be very cognizant of. Okay, so are you guys with me so far? So far, so good? Give me a yes in the chat box. I love all the feedback you guys are popping into the chat box. Continue to do it. Okay, the next challenge here is you are likely flying by the seat of your pants. Back to things not being intuitive and not having that manual. We often find ourselves stressed out and feeling defeated because we don't have a plan on how to approach challenging situations when your child will not listen to you. There's nothing more stressful than in the moment trying to be like, okay, I'll do this, or let me try this, or I'm going to ignore you, or I'm going to do it with you, or I'm just going to give you whatever you want, right? And then you end up feeling so defeated and deflated because you don't even know if what you just did was effective. So, flying by the seat of your pants, sometimes that might involve yelling. For some, it's bribing. If you do this, then I'll give you this. If you put your shoes on, then you can have 4 Smarties. If you eat your dinner, then you can have a bag of chips. For other, it's those deep down negotiations. Who here negotiates with their toddlers or preschoolers? Mommy, 5 more minutes. Mommy, I just want 1 more turn. Mommy, I'm not ready to. Okay, yeah, you can have 5 more minutes. Okay, first you can do this, and then you can do this, but then you're gonna have to do this. Who has a negotiator at home? Please tell me I'm not the only one. There has to be more of you that have negotiators. So we want, there's a lot of those negotiations going back and forth, and sometimes they end, it's like 7,000 negotiations later, and you're still into these like negotiations with your child, right? Okay, good. I'm not the only one here with a negotiator. Okay, for some of you, this whole flying by the seat of your pants is all of the above. You find yourself in this gamut of like yelling and bribing and negotiating all at the same time just to get your child in the bath, just to get the toys cleaned up, just to get your kid dressed, to get the diaper changed, right? There's so much effort that is going into getting one little small task done right now that it doesn't seem 1 more minute, mommy. Yes, exactly. So regardless, this is exhausting and it just doesn't feel right. And I think at the end of the day, it stresses a lot of us out, okay? So moving forward, the next biggest challenge I hear from all these parents that I work with is, that they're taking more of a reactive approach versus a proactive approach. So it's one of the most common things I see, is that when it comes to managing situations with our children, we're so quick to react. And this often creates a ton of stress because you're trying to manage this little person with these huge emotions who ultimately triggers you because they won't listen to you. And that, makes your blood boil. For me, it makes my hair frizz. My face goes beet red. And then you have to start managing yourself as you're trying to manage them. And then you get lost in this whole feedback loop of just stress and trying to resolve things. So, a lot of us in that moment do try our best to manage ourselves so we don't explode from frustration. But that's a really hard thing to do when you're also trying to manage a little person who is the master negotiator, who is ripping your heart into 1,000 pieces because they're crying and you're not sure if they're actually, in pain or hungry or what, or if it's just a front that they're putting on to manipulate the situation. So, for a second, I want to turn this around to you and say to you guys, imagine how good it would feel if you can just skip all of that and you didn't have to deal with it, right? That's where being proactive comes in. Imagine you ask your child to do something and it just gets done. How much relief would that give you guys? Pop something in the chat box. I want to hear from you guys. How much of a relief would that be if you can get from point A to point B without your hair going frizzy, without your face turning beet red, without feeling like you are actually going to explode? Michelle, you are dead on that. It's the impossible dream. Sounds like a dream. Okay, so I'm hoping today, once I give you these strategies, you guys are going to be able to grasp some of this and bring some of it into your home. Melanie, I agree with you. It would be amazing. And guys, it is amazing. The transformation is actually unbelievable. And it has this whole domino effect into the home. I've seen it in my own home. I've seen it with all my clients. It's really, really cool once you start seeing it happening. Okay. So, I'm talking really fast. Are we good so far, guys? Am I going too fast for you? I'm obviously very excited and passionate about this topic, so I get excited a lot of the times here. Okay, so the goal of our time here today, guys, number one, by the time we wrap up today, okay, you are going to walk away with a mini toolbox of strategies that will help bring a sense of calm to your home. And I am going to, I want you guys to make sure you stick around because towards the end of the session, I am going to give you a link so you guys can download all, this whole mini toolbox so you have it and you can reference it at any time. Okay, so we're going to bring a sense of calm to your home. So imagine if you didn't have to face those stressful power struggles with your child. Literally imagine if you could just ask your child to do something and they would listen after the first or second time. Okay, I want to know from you guys, how would that change the vibe in your home, in your family dynamic? Can you guys see how this would have a domino effect into the home? Okay, I want to hear from you guys. How, if you could take away that stress and bring in calm, what would that do for you? I know for me, it would allow me to be way more productive and effective at multitasking. But it would also allow me to feel way more connected. It does, we obviously have our moments in my home and then I check back in and I go to my strategies. And every time I do, I'm so grateful because it instantly makes me recognize the connection between me and my child or children and how positive it feels. So for me, that is a significant thing. Okay. I also want you guys to feel like you are in total control when you ask your child to do something and they don't listen to you. There's nothing worse than them not listening to you and you being like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm at a loss. What do? I don't want to go into another power struggle. I don't want to get into a yelling match. I don't want to get into negotiations. What the heck do I do? Okay, so you are soon going to know exactly what to do and how to manage these situations so you don't have to resort to the yelling, to the bribing, to the negotiating. Okay, side note, I want to bring a little bit of awareness to this. Feeling out of control as a parent is or as a caregiver, is a very uncomfortable feeling because we are the ones that are supposed to be in control and feel in control, okay? It is when, being in this role we're in, we always want to feel this, that we have a good sense of control over things. So it's when we feel out of control that we turn to yelling, that we turn to raising our voice, we turn to timeouts, we turn to punishment. Why? Because unknowingly, that authoritative stance acts as a compensation strategy to make you feel more in control. It helps you feel like you're gaining a sense of control back. So in the moment, it might feel like it works, but I can promise you long-term, it is not going to be effective. You always have to question what you're teaching your child, what behavior you're modeling, because they soak in everything, okay? So just remember, whatever you're putting out into the world is what your child is understanding of the world around them. So these strategies are going to help you feel in control without having to go to all that negative energy that you don't necessarily want to be bringing into your home, okay? Make sense, guys? Okay. Lastly, I want you guys to feel equipped. I'm going to give you the tools you need so you can be ready to take on this agent stage. I need you guys to feel like you are doing a good job. I need you to know that you are doing the right thing. I don't want you second guessing, and I don't want you doing guessing games here. I need you to know, that your child is going to benefit from how you handle situations when they don't listen to you. And I say this to myself all the time, and I hope you guys can kind of adopt this, but us parents literally deserve to feel like we are crushing it at parenting because we pour our life into this. This is the most important thing to us. We put so much energy and time into it, and we deserve to feel like we are doing a good job. We deserve a freaking medal right now for parenting through a pandemic. Who is with me on that one? Who feels like they deserve a medal? We all deserve a medal right now. Okay, so are you guys ready to dive into the toolbox? Give me a yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's do this because I'm ready to give you guys some strategies. I love all the input you guys are putting in. Keep going. It revs me up. It gets me excited. Okay, so the number one strategy, guys, is we need to manage our expectations, okay? So what does that mean, okay? Managing expectations is the first step to all of this, okay? So question for you guys, and I need you to answer this. How quickly do you react to your child when they don't listen to you? Do you literally, are you the type that jumps in right away? Do you wait 30 seconds? Do you wait a minute? Do you leave them for 5 minutes and come back and ask them? Put it into the chat box. How quickly do you guys react when your child doesn't listen to you? How quickly? What is your reflex on this? What is your reaction? ASAP. Kyla, thank you for answering. Guys, tell me, please, how quickly do you react when your child doesn't listen to you? There is no shame, no judgment here. Immediately. Michelle, thank you. Come on, I want to hear from more of you guys. How quickly? 20 seconds. Amazing. Who has the patience here? Who is the type that waits 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and comes back to it? Any of you guys? I'm dying to know. Because I just want to hug you if you do. 1 minute, Nilu. Awesome. Depends on the mood. Totally. I totally get that, Yoda. Totally. Okay, so something I need you guys to know about managing expectations. Not all kids, very few kids can go from all to none in 60 seconds. So if your kid is playing with a toy and it's time to come to dinner, you cannot expect your kid's just going to drop their toy and head on to dinner unless they are starving. But no kid can really make the transition that quickly. So this is something you need to be very cognizant of. So you're giving yourself enough time when you got to get to A to B. And this is especially true in the morning when you got to get out the door on time. Your child's agenda is very different than our agenda. They see the world very differently. They don't understand why you have this inherent rush to get out the door in the morning. They don't understand. So you need to understand where they're coming from, and we need to meet them versus getting them to meet us, okay? You need to be patient. You need to give them time to process what you are asking them to do. And then you're going to step in if they need help. Okay. So if this is a time sensitive thing, you got to be very cognizant that they're not understanding those kinds of things. So give yourself enough time and acknowledge, be aware that they're not going to stop and drop quickly. Okay. So that's the one thing. Can you guys see how shifting your expectation might help to getting your child to listen a little better? Okay. Keep popping your responses in the chat box. Okay. We're going to go on to the next strategy. Number 2, segmenting the transition. This is huge. I use this with my kids all the time. This is when you take a transition and you break it down into smaller chunks. When kids are highly engaged in something, it's hard for them to just let go. This is where you got to get creative and you got to chunk the transition, okay? So here's an example. If my child is in the toy room building a fort, we're edging close to bedtime, I got to get them in the bath. I know I can't just say to them, okay, guys, clean up, let's go, bath time. They're going to be like, no, mommy, we're playing 5 more minutes, 2 more minutes. We got to do this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to physically first try to get them closer to the bathroom. So I might ask them to bring, I want to keep them engaged in that fort, but maybe I'll ask them to bring a part of the fort with them to the hallway outside the bathroom. Guys, I love that little tunnel you built as part of the fort. Can you guys relocate the tunnel over here? I want to see how well it fits. Mommy wants to try it. Bring it over here. Great. We've gotten them one step closer to the bathroom. Once they're one step closer to the bathroom, we're going to take the next step and we're going to transition them into the bathroom or into the tub. You're going to have to gauge where your kid's at and know, how big or small these chunks have to be. But you might even ask them to bring part of that fort, if possible, with them into the tub. So they don't actually have to let go of the activity they're doing, but they can bring it with them. Allowing kids to transition with something in their hands that is of value is really, really effective. So you guys have to get a little creative with this, but can you see how taking this big expectation and breaking it down into smaller little chunks can be effective? I want to know who is going to try this out. Who is going to try segmenting the transitions, taking these big asks and breaking them down into smaller pieces. Kyla, amazing. Guys, if you have questions about any of these, I'm going to answer them all at the end. I will get back to you. I'm not ignoring your questions. I do see them. The next strategy seems so simple, but we forget to do this all the time. Do it with them, guys, okay? Help them out. Do it with them. Okay, so here's a crazy fact. Our children, our toddlers, our preschoolers, they receive on average 200 directives a day. Do this, don't do that, come here, stop, come, go, eat, sleep. This is a lot for a kid who is in a stage of development where they are trying to exert control. This is a total clash. So by default of the environment, our kids are inherently going to push back because they are overwhelmed with the amount of demands we're putting on them a day. Not that it's a bad thing or a good thing, it's just what it is, but they are constantly trying to exert control because that's what their body and their physiology is telling them to do based on this age and stage of development. So we have to be cognizant of this. We need them to understand it's not about the struggle, it's not about the power, we just need to get shit done, okay? So the best way to make this happen, especially if things are time sensitive, do it with them. If it's time to clean up with them. If it's time to get dressed with them. Watch your language here. Instead of saying it's time to get your shoes on, you can say something like, you know what, let's go get our shoes on together. Kids love feeling connected to their parents. It's another one of those inherent fundamental needs, that emotional connection. So if they see this opportunity of you helping them as an opportunity to feel connected and be connected and do something together, you will be so surprised how quickly they jump on board for this, all right? What I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna pin the link to the rest of the strategies. If one of the moderators can pin my post up to the top, I popped it in the chat box, guys. I want you to have this whole mini toolbox. So if you go to the link I just put in the chat box, you'll be able to access it. download it. I literally want you to print it out, stick it on your fridge, share it with your partner. These strategies are included in there so you can get a little more of an explanation on them if you need them. You can reference this at any point, and you can always connect with me if you have questions around these strategies. I'm just trying to figure out here how to pin this to the top. Okay. Bear with me. I don't know if Osana or one of the moderators are there. If you can pin that, that would be awesome, awesome. Okay, so guys, let's do a quick recap here. We're so limited on time. If we had more time, I would go through like 50 strategies with you guys, but because we are so limited on time, that's why I've packaged these strategies into a little mini toolbox for you. I've actually put them into a little cheat sheet for you, so it's easy to read, easy to implement. You can download them from that link. If we had more time, we would totally go into way more strategies, but let's quickly do a recap here. So to create more calm in your home, to gain a good sense of control over the transitions in your home, and to feel confident in how you are managing situations when you need to get your child to listen to you, I need you to start off, one, by managing your expectations. Remember, they can't stop, drop, and go quickly like we always maybe want them to, okay? You're going to segment the transition. You're going to break it down into smaller steps. Make it a little less overwhelming for them, okay, guys? The next thing is do it with them. Please, please do it with them and see what a significant, drastic change this does, not only in the moment, but in future opportunities when you ask them to help you. When you guys use these strategies and you start cutting out these power struggles in different areas of the day, you're gonna see that they come less and less in the future because your child is becoming way more compliant through this positive parenting approach, okay? So I would love this opportunity to answer any of your questions. Guys, I'm posting stuff on social all the time. You can follow along on Instagram at Corey_Stern. I also have an amazing Facebook community of parents called Behave It or Not, and on both of these platforms, I am always posting tips and strategies for you guys to help really, really reduce that day-to-day stress and overwhelm, okay? So I cannot thank you enough for joining me today. This was so awesome. Your participation was amazing. And if you guys have questions, please start putting them into the chat box. Don't forget to download that cheat sheet. And I really want you guys to commit to using these strategies so you can really benefit for them, okay? Thank you, Victoria. Thank you so much for coming and participating. Melanie, thank you so much. You guys are amazing, amazing, amazing. I hope everyone stays healthy. Melanie, you're amazing. Kyla, thank you, guys. So good. Stay connected. I know someone had a question. I'm just going to scroll up. Bear with me. I saw. Guys, put your questions in the question box. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes. If anyone wants to chat, I'm here. Tips on biting during playtime. So Kyla, I always want to know why the biting is happening. Is it, first of all, remind me how old your kiddo is. Remind me. Sorry, I just lost. 23 months. So is it a communication thing? Is it a frustration thing? Is there a toy your child wants? Why do you think the biting's happening? Yoda, thank you so much. Hard not to react and expect. I know. So it's so hard not to react and expect fast actions from your toddler, but I need you to know based on their physiology and the way their brain is developing right now, they literally cannot necessarily stop, drop, and go, which is where managing expectations helps a lot, okay? He only bites during happy times when we are giggling or trying to go to bed. So this could be more of a sensory thing where excitement is just coming out in the form of a bite. So what you can do in that moment when the biting happens is provide appropriate language or a gesture or action to express excitement. So you can do things like showing your child model clapping hands or doing a happy dance or a high five instead of a bite. So you want to model the appropriate behavior. You could say, ouch, uh-oh, no biting. We clap hands when we're excited. We do high fives. So let's focus on giving the appropriate response versus the inappropriate response, okay? Michelle, in terms of waiting to repeat command question, what if it seems they are purposely ignoring you, 4-year-old negotiator? Okay, so this is a very different situation. When we have a child who is intentionally ignoring you, then it comes down to more of a control thing. And again, I don't love coming at it from a reactive point of view. I like being more proactive. And I'm going to say, if there is the power struggle that's coming mostly from that need to be in control, you got to look at how to proactively give your child opportunity to feel empowered throughout their day-to-day. So, one of the most highly prescribed strategies out there by all these positive parenting experts is, to find opportunities in your day for your child to contribute to the greater good in the home. Literally put your child to work, allow your child to participate in activities that allow them to feel a sense of control. So, things like helping with laundry, emptying the dishwasher, obviously age appropriate, but turning light switches on and off, helping you cook, letting them pick out their own clothes, allowing them to make choices. We really need to find opportunities to be flooding them with I keep saying opportunities, but with opportunity to feel empowered throughout their day. So we are literally filling that bucket. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but all kids, when we look at these fundamental needs that they have at this age and stage, they need to always feel like they have a sense of empowerment, and they always need to feel like they have a sense of connection. That's where all these attention-seeking behaviors come from. If we do not, we always make that analogy with the buckets. They have an empowerment bucket and an attention bucket, and they carry those buckets around all day. And when those buckets start to deplete, that's when we see the behaviors happening. So if we're not providing enough opportunity for them to feel empowered or enough opportunity for them to feel emotionally connected to the parent, we see them behave in all kinds of ways. So it's our job to make sure we keep those buckets full all day, every day. So empower, empower, empower. Get your child doing things that she or he sees you doing in the home. That is a very empowering experience. Michelle, does that make sense? Okay, Marisol, what if he reacts screaming or throwing things? How can we help them avoid these reactions? Okay, great. So Marisol, Michelle, fantastic. Marisol, I'm always gonna go back to the question, what is the screaming and throwing trying to accomplish? Is it attention? Are they trying to maintain control over a situation? Do they want access to something? Why is this screaming and throwing happening? We need to always understand the why before we can respond to that, okay? So I'm always going to say, you always want to validate those big emotions, of course, and then you always want to give them an opportunity to try again. Those redos are very important. You want to always take these opportunities to teach something, to build skill, to tell them what to do instead. So you can try taking that approach, Marisol, without knowing a little more information. It's a little hard to guide you, but if you can figure out why the behavior is happening, I might be able to give you a little more information. Okay. Any more questions, guys? I'm gonna pop the link for the cheat sheet again into the chat box because I can't figure out how to pin it to the top. So if you haven't already, make sure you download it so you get all the strategies in the mini toolbox that I've created for you guys. Okay, I want to make sure you guys walk away with that and you have that at your disposal. Nicole, how to stop hitting? What if you don't know why they are doing it? So I want you guys to know something. Every single behavior happens for a reason, okay? Every single behavior. So there's always going to be a reason they're doing it. They're doing it for one of 4 reasons or maybe a combination. They want attention or control. They want access to something tangible, the iPad, the cookie, the toy. They want to avoid or escape people, places, or things, or there's some kind of inherent sensory need. So we need to figure out what's going on. So it's a little hard to say how to stop it if we don't know what's going on. And if you're unsure how to figure out why it's happening, then let's connect. Send me a message, because you and I can connect, and we can work through this a little bit to try to figure out what's going on, so we can make sure that you're managing it effectively. Does that make sense, Nicole? Okay, Shayna, my twins are 26 months old and are having a hard time with sharing toys. Any tips? Oh, this is a good one. Sharing is a really, really, really hard skill for these little guys, but this is the perfect time to start teaching it. So, Shayna, my suggestion to you is obviously appropriate modeling and very simple language. And I always find with sharing, the hardest part about a kid giving up a toy is them not realizing it, that they can get it back. So you want to make it very clear to your child when they are giving up a toy. You can say, like, child A, it's time to give the toy to child B. We're going to share. And then child B is going to give it back to child A. You're going to give it up, and then you're going to get it back. So we need them to realize that the toy or the item will eventually come back to them. And while they are waiting, because waiting is a very hard thing, you can give them something else to do. And then, of course, a lot of positive praise while they are waiting. Okay. And honestly, rinse and repeat, Shayna. Rinse and repeat. Modeling, put a little script in place for it's now your turn, and it's going to be your turn again, so they know exactly what to expect. A lot of positive praise around giving it back, telling them you're proud of them. This goes a long, long way. Okay, Shayna, does that make sense? Okay, Nicole, so if you hypothesize, yes, amazing, good. So if you hypothesize he wants something, but you just can't give it to him, like if you need to go, okay, message me. Message me, we'll chat. It'll be a lot easier to problem solve that way. That's fantastic. Guys, these questions are amazing. Thank you. So many good questions. Keep them coming if you want. Again, I'm going to pop in that link so you can download. If you guys, not if you, I think you guys should take advantage and keep these strategies close by you. That would be awesome. And again, you know, if you guys want to come hang out on Facebook and behave it or not, I'm in there all the time, hanging out with my peeps, helping parents out, and I'm happy to chat there anytime too. Does anyone have any other questions? This has been awesome, awesome, awesome. Kudos to Mom's TO for throwing another amazing event. So good. So good, so good. Okay, so if there's no other questions, guys, thank you so much. Again, this was so good. Please keep me posted when you try out the strategies. I'd love to hear how they work for you guys. Stay connected. And Mom's TO, thank you again for having me. This was awesome, 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 awesome.